Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 4, Episode 13, Crossfire. In this episode, Odo goes full emo because Kira hooks up with Shakaar.
Aw, unrequited love.
Yep. This episode was pretty thick with that.
This falls in line with Odo being a child.
Just in the previous episode, we had a story about Sisko when he was a child, or a teenager, moping about unrequited love and then getting over it as he grew up. So yeah, this is Odo being a mopey teenager.
It's a rite of passage for every teenager.
I have very mixed feelings about this one.
Why is that?
It was nicely shot, nicely themed. The plot existed, and okay, that's a bit harsh. I don't mean the plot was full of whiz-bang crash, but things happened. There's character drama. So it had enough there. It's just I get a little tired and frustrated. I'm sitting there thinking, come on, get over it. Go have a space battle.
It's pretty thin on characterization. If you told me there's a plot about Odo being sad about unrequited love, I would think that's a B plot and not the thrust of an episode.
Did this episode have a B plot? It didn't,
no.
did it? No.
All about Odo being edged out.
He put himself in the friend zone. Okay, actually, this episode is a good demonstration of when people moan about friend zones, it is entirely a situation they have constructed themselves.
I hate that term, by the way.
Yeah, me too. It's, yeah. But all this emo stuff that Odo is going through is pretty much his fault in a sense.
She can't read his mind. He expects her to, I guess. He keeps crafting this fake perfect meeting, hoping she'll fall in love with him and profess her love while he has a belt on. Yeah, it's all his fault.
Well, of course it's definitely not Kira's fault. She's actually trying to sympathize with him. But he just digs his own little hole and then sits in it feeling sad. To the point where he's gonna lose his job. I should have lost his job. Sisko was unbelievably lenient.
This really important guy could have died. Oh well.
Don't do it again.
Shame on you. I won't even ask for details. I'll just say, don't do it again.
It's the president of an entire planet, and the one guy in charge says, I have a minor personal problem. Okay.
Understood.
Yeah, maybe there's rules saying you can't pry too much, but wouldn't he say, what is that? Is it a big deal? What if it was like, I don't know, egg allergy or something?
People never question excuses on this show. People will give the vaguest excuse. Oh, I didn't feel like it. Oh, okay. And then they move on.
Usually with a stern telling off, though. How dare you? You're an insult to uniform. Now, go and do your job properly this time. This is the 17th time someone you've been working with has fallen into the warp core. Must be more careful.
Speaking of repeated offenses, we see how easy it is to break into Odo's quarters. Something he's mentioned that has happened numerous times.
If he cannot secure his quarters, or anyone's quarters secure,
He likes to have his quarters broken into so he purposefully makes it easy.
As some sort of fetish thing.
It's a game, so then he could track the person down and figure out who it was.
What was Quark or Dax?
Right, before it was Dax moving furniture. This time it was Quark, but it was easy to figure out because he was there.
Well,
Oh,
but
it's you.
that's an important clue. I'll write that down.
Quark appears in pajamas. Got it?
I was almost rooting for Odo and Quark to hook up by the end of the episode. They are more convincingly in love with each other than Odo and Kira.
If only they would look within and recognize it.
Extreme hate and extreme love are not that different.
He doesn't hate Quark. He got updated floors just for him.
What was the point in that? I figured it was because he didn't want Quark to overhear him.
Yes. Because
So
he complained about the noise.
But was he actually doing it because he wanted to thank Quark for giving some fairly bland advice?
Yes, for his fake friendship pep talk. No, fake
Okay.
business pep talk. Real friendship.
It just seemed like a big security problem to have the criminal sort of mastermind of the station directly under your quarters, and then to find out that he can hear everything.
That's by design. He wants Quark to be aware of him. Quark is the only real relationship he has.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, really. That is sadder than the fact that he just keeps bottling everything up about Kira and then beating himself up about it.
That's why he beat himself up about it. It was this ideal of another friendship, or beyond that, and then, nope, all I have is Quark.
I mean, Quark's a nice guy. Well, no, he's not. Shakar was back again from his previous appearance in the episode where Kai Wynn went nuts, or more nuts.
I didn't even realize that was the same guy. Was his hair different?
I don't think so, but he was acting quite different. He didn't seem like the same character. He was kind of caring and lovely in this one, whereas in the previous one he was kind of sort of cowboy-ish. I don't know. He was a kind of hard guy, terrorist, farmer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Rough bloke, and then now he's softy.
Maybe that's it. I'll say that instead of admitting to a faulty memory.
Obviously, politics has changed him.
Now he's irresistible, as what usually happens to people who enter politics. That's not right.
Oh, those politicians. Hot stuff. I laughed at this a thing here. At the start, the guy helping Shakar told him not to mumble so much. And then later on, Kira hooks up with him. And I started thinking that Kira just has a thing for guys that mumble.
Her dad mumbled.
Dad died in a concentration camp.
Yeah, while mumbling.
Wow. Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, where we have highbrow humor.
Always, all the time.
It wasn't about wearing a belt or not wearing a belt. He just needed to mumble whilst doing it.
If only he figured it out sooner. Oh well, his shape-shifted heart was trampled.
He doesn't have a heart to break. The meeting at the start between Odo and Kira, where they discuss the goings-on the station, they should do more things like that.
What do you mean by that?
I don't mean more meetings like that. I mean that kind of scene where they're just discussing what's going on or giving the station itself some exposition.
Some day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, it kind of cemented things a bit. I'm talking about two people who were getting adult frisky, and Odo had to throw cold water on them, or whatever he did, I don't know. But just these kind of, like, not stories, but little bits of gossip about what's going on the station make it seem more like an actual place where people live.
That's a good point. It's usually, this is the setting for our thing that is happening now. And we don't get these ancillary things all the time when we should be, because this place should be bustling with activity.
The strange thing is, I don't think the scene was supposed to do that. It was supposed to be about Odo and Kira's relationship. Yet, to me, all it did was fill out the station's sort of world building.
So they stumbled into some world building?
Yeah, I think they did.
Oh, whoops. How did that get in there?
Well, it's good, and it's needed. Shakar says Bajorans have strong opinions on everything.
Yes, he does.
Do they?
No, they don't.
They don't seem to even vote or care about what happens in elections or have many candidates to stand for president, or any candidates at all.
If they had strong opinions, why is Kaiwen in any sort of position of power?
After Bareil got knocked out of the race, it seemed like she was the only other possibility. But if they had such strong opinions, it would be much closer, one would hope.
I hope so. I like to attribute her rise to complete apathy.
What else could it be? I did a little bit of maths, or as you call it, math.
For the lift? Or what? I can't think of anything else.
What about the lift?
How long they were in freefall?
Yes. After I watched the episode, I was thinking about it, and I thought, they were free-falling for a really long time.
Ages.
So, they start falling at 27 minutes, 55 seconds into the episode. There's an advert break, which I assume you wouldn't count. So that cuts out 4 seconds. But they stop free-falling, or they don't stop free-falling, but Odo starts grinding the walls at 29 minutes, pretty much on the dot. So they were free-falling for roughly a minute. Maybe
Holy
a minute
cow.
and 1 second. So I looked up how far you would fall. Obviously the weight doesn't matter, it's just the length of time. And it's 18 kilometers.
I'm really bad with kilometers. How many miles is that?
11.2 miles.
Wow. Sorry, I recognize kilometers as superior, but I grew up with miles and I have no concept of that distance in kilometers.
So they fell over 11 miles. Which makes me think, how big is the station?
At least 11 miles.
But it's huge then.
Yep.
There's only a few thousand people living there.
Lots of empty cargo bays.
Vast amount of empty cargo bays. You could get lost for weeks and weeks. Or months or years.
Why even take a lift with that much space? Just use the transporter. Maybe that's too cumbersome.
No, I don't know why they wouldn't use the transporter. I don't know why they wouldn't use the transporter just all the time for Shakar. Maybe they're worried that someone will hack the transporter and delete him.
Copy his data.
Hey, wait a second. What?
Waiting.
What? Okay. What was the bad guy's plan with the lift?
To kill Shakar?
But they didn't have the access code.
He was hoping... Odo would be distracted by watching the woman he loves flirt with another man.
He has a reputation for being a cold, emotionless, and very precise security expert. Okay, so they locked out and he wasn't, but they should have expected him to want the access code.
He could be a dumb criminal. Like a guy who steals a car and only then realizes it's manual and he doesn't know how to drive manual.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's true. A lot of criminals are not the brightest.
If you're a criminal in the first place, especially a petty criminal, you likely don't think very far ahead to end up in that spot.
Well, a lot of police work is busting first-time crooks that have no idea what they're doing. The ones that don't get caught usually are pretty good at it, and they're a lot harder to catch in the long run. They're basically spawn camp noobs. So that could have been, yeah, they just didn't know that they needed a security code. But he didn't say anything.
Yeah, he blanked. Oh, what do I do?
He could have at least guessed or said, I can't remember it.
I can't remember it.
I'd also like to point out that even lifts nowadays have fall protection.
Oh, yeah, it's such a common trope for movies and shows to have a free-falling elevator when there are so many things in place to stop that.
It would be surprising nowadays for an elevator to free fall. You get it now and again, but they just do 10 floors or something, and the security stuff is pretty solid. If you watch the Mythbusters episode about lift free fall,
Oh, I haven't.
they show you how it works, and it's so simple. It actually takes them a while to figure out how to disable it. And in 400 years, you'd expect it to be better still.
That did run through my mind how it's almost how safe it is now, and that there's no way this would happen so much later in the future.
Well, standards have slipped.
Well, we're basing off of human technology. These are Cardassian lifts. Maybe they haven't figured them out.
There's
O'Brien-
no fail-safes.
O'Brien hasn't gotten around to upgrading them.
Takes one look at the lift and says, oh my god, we need a cable on top of that. This isn't tied to anything. This is a death trap.
Why are there no cables here? I have to go do something else.
Hey, do you want to know another problem with the lift?
Yes, I do.
In a free-falling lift, they would not experience gravity.
Right. They would be falling with it, right? Is that
Yes.
how yeah.
So as it reached free fall, they would be lifted off the ground. I mean, they wouldn't necessarily, but they would not have any gravity, so they would start floating around.
Hold the phone, the lift itself probably has its own gravity plating. There's no reason the gravity of the lift is tied to the reference frame of the station.
That would have been so cool had they done that.
Yes, it would have. In fact, that whole lift scene was kind of silly. They originally wanted Odo just to turn into a machine and stop the lift, but then they wanted his face to be there so you could see him straining, so he just sort of turned into hammers.
Gotta have that human element.
It would have been cooler if he just turned into a sort of jackhammer stretchy thing.
There's a disconnect, though, for the audience when you don't have a face.
But you want to disconnect with him because the whole episode is about how he's disconnected.
Ah, that's a good point.
If he's turning into a machine in front of people like a jack or something,
Yeah.
then you think, well, what? No wonder Kira wants to tap Shakar. It's not turning into a machine.
Yeah. It would enhance the theme of the episode.
It would have made Odo seem more alien, because he goes on about how he's really different from everyone, but he doesn't seem that different a lot of the time.
I wanted something similar when he was raging in his room and breaking stuff. I wanted him to morph while that was happening and not have control and not stay in the humanoid form. And I didn't like that his hair was all messed up while he was sitting on the floor, because he doesn't have real hair. It's just him mimicking it. So they're trying to show him as more human, but I feel they should have gone the other way. That no, he's not human. He's a shapeshifter.
The hair was actually Rene Aubergine. He did that because he wanted it to appear as there's a famous, I think it's like a woodcut print of a samurai who's been defeated with a strand of hair falling down his face. There's another scene where he's watching over everyone in the conference room or meeting room.
With his arms crossed?
Yeah. It just seemed like he should be taller. I don't know why he didn't just make his legs longer. Or his neck longer.
He doesn't understand vantage points.
But even making his legs longer would have been really easy. Because he was standing still, they just needed a longer pair of trousers and get him to stand on stilts or something.
It draws attention to himself. He's said he doesn't like people to see him shapeshift.
Well, he doesn't like to shapeshift for people, but this would benefit the mission. I mean, I will admit it's a stupid request. It's just, I'm quite tall, and I presume Odo has been tall in his life. He must have tried it. He would know instantly that that's the best way to see everything that's going on.
It creates him as an other, and he doesn't want to be seen as an other in front of Kira, especially.
Excuses. Do you have a little snippet of dialogue one could refer to as a quote?
You've either got to tell her how you feel or forget about her and get on with your life. Some bland advice from Quark, a Ferengi, who are notorious for their mistreatment of women, so I don't understand where this advice is coming from.
Yeah, if he was in proper Ferengi mode, he'd just say, storm in there, buy her from whoever owns her.
Why are you sad about not owning property? Just buy it.
It was a nice little, almost a ruse, because then you think, oh, he's going to do it. He's actually going to stop moping around and tell her that he has feelings for her. And then he just says, Kira, you're dead to me. Oh my god, this is going to go on forever.
I like how it resolves.
But what kind of resolution is this? They work together.
He's going to bury his feelings even deeper.
Great, so we can look forwards to this episode again.
So we could have Raging Odo 2.
I like angst in the show. Well, in any TV show, a little bit of angst. It's like a little bit of salt. Makes your food good. And it's probably bad for you or something. I'm not giving dietary advice here. But too much angst is like too much salt. I've just realized this is a good analogy.
Everything in moderation.
Yes, salt and angst. And oxygen.
Solid analogy.
I feel so grown up now that I've made an analogy that consistently makes sense from start to end. It wasn't even intentional.
So, not a great episode, but not a clunker either.
I'd definitely say it's not a clunker. It pulled the heartstrings, just not that much.
Some of those scenes are pretty rough to watch Odo be tortured like that. Having to chaperone dates that he's not on.
Well, his incredible solution of just dealing with it could have come 45 minutes earlier. We should see what the next episode brings.
Yes, we should.